It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. Just speak with authority.
Yeah, then you're good. Yeah, if you have a certain amount of confidence, because I can get away with that. I make stuff up, but I'm very confident about what I'm making up.
Yeah, I've been victim of your confidence.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax. HIPAA help is on the way.
Welcome to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast. My name is David Sims from HIPAA for MSPs, and joining me as always is my co-host, Donna Grindle of Card and Compliance. Well, Donna, is your week as crazy as mine?
Hey, I don't have the flu, dude. So
yeah,
I'm feeling great compared to you.
I'm getting over the flu. It's kind of sad. I really kind of wanted my old Barry White voice to stick around a few more days for the podcast recording.
Yeah, but when you've got all of that up in your head, it's bad enough on a normal day. I don't need your head stopped up, medicated, thinking slow.
Yeah, so if we could have done this a couple of days ago, it would have been 2 octaves lower.
There you go.
I probably could have pulled out some Teddy Pendergrass music and sung along with it or something.
Yeah. Ironically, I'm listening to you with the flu, and I get my reminder to go get my flu shot. So I'll be going to get my flu shot. It's clearly the universe is telling me something.
Yeah. So
get your flu shot.
Got the funk. Luckily, it didn't stick around very long, but the lingering effects of the congestion, they stick around.
And please don't tell them all the things you told me about what came out of you. People don't want to hear it.
I have to give you details because I know you're a detail-oriented person.
Not that way.
So before we jump into the topic of today's show, we have a question from a listener. So I figured we'd take that on and answer the question.
We get excited when we get questions from the listeners. You just got to know that.
Yeah, we do. So this question comes from, I'm going to butcher the last name probably, but it's David Fessenden. David F. So David, awesome name. Yeah, I'm kind of fond of David's myself. So he says, "Hi guys, love the show. So appreciate that. I'm looking for a program that teaches HIPAA and high tech. I've been in IT for 25 years, so he definitely remembers the time before Windows. And I'm currently managing the everyday technical stuff for a medical company. I really want to learn more about HIPAA so I can more useful as a consultant to their other offices, as well as become a competent healthcare tech. Where can I go? Is there a program or coursework? I remember you guys stating at one point that there are no HIPAA certifications. Is this still true? Thanks for your help." So David, thanks for the question. So you have a few things going on here. Number one is, of course, we thank you for listening to the show and writing in. And yes, you do need to get a lot of your HIPAA stuff done so that you can legally take on this client that you have. And I'm assuming probably get more clients that are like that as well. So we recommend that if you want to know more from a IT standpoint, we recommend HIPAA for MSPs.com. I wonder why we recommend that. So you could go over there, take a look at that. There's some free information you can get, but for what you're doing and what you're going to want, you're really going to want to look at the what's called the Professional Plus level. And that's going to give you the program and the coursework that you're asking about. Now, as far as the HIPAA certifications, let me say this. There are bunches of HIPAA certifications out there, but none of them are recognized by OCR, HHS as being something that they back or endorse or anything. There's not going to be one you find that is like that. So we've put together a program through HIPAA for MSPs that will give you a certification that we've put together. And that's the way any of these other places go. If you Google it, you're going to find all these other places that say, we're going to give you HIPAA certifications. We're going to make you HIPAA ready. We're going to make you all these things. HIPAA made easy. You'll see everything. A lot of marketing stuff goes around a lot of this, and not a lot of it do we agree with. Wouldn't you say that, Donna?
Yeah.
People that tell you can be a HIPAA professional in 4 hours, stuff like that. I mean, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Just not going to happen. But you can get all types of certifications. There are some that are good and legitimate. Honestly, I think for IT, ours is the absolute best out there. I've been through several other courses. I'm sure Donna has as well. And as far as being centered around IT, I don't think there's another one out there like it.
I didn't go through courses. I just all of a sudden knew this stuff. I woke up one day.
I just plugged my earphones in and just went to sleep and woke up. And
yeah, just one day it started coming out.
Now, there is a course, since you're in IT, there is a course put out by CompTIA that is the healthcare technicians, healthcare IT technicians certification?
Like yeah, healthcare IT certification.
Yeah, which it is good. It is, I think it's built more around a hospital setting IT environment. So some of the stuff may or may not apply to you if you're doing things for a smaller practice or independent practices.
Yeah. And you can also, AHIMA, the AHIMA, the American Health Information Management Association, and HIMSS, they also have different certifications. You can take the test and those kind of things. They have courses associated with them. So there's several organizations out there, and some we like more than others, but that's all I've got to say about that.
We could probably tell you more of them to stay away from than to actually go to. Yeah. But thanks for reaching out. I hope that answers your question. No matter which direction you decide to take on it, I applaud you for knowing that you do need to do something with it, and just be very diligent in doing your due diligence on whoever you choose to do your program and coursework with. So, anything else on that, Donna?
No.
All right, let's get into the show.
Are you ready for it? It's a really big show. It's a big show today. Really big show.
So anyway, good that David's listening, because today we're going to be talking about business associate security issues. And so David is a business associate because he's in IT.
Well, you don't know that. He could be working for a covered entity. He just said a medical company.
Okay, fine.
Don't act like you and David are tight just because his name is David.
Look, he's awesome. He's absolutely awesome.
Yes, but we're going to talk about business associates today.
So we're going to look at some of the security issues around business associates. And of course, we have been sounding the bell for quite a while that, the business associates are kind of going to be the next in line for all the troubles that come the way of OCR and HHS and HIPAA violations and breaches, and can't run from your responsibilities any longer.
Well, you have to accept that you have them. There's some people they aren't running from. They just say, I don't even have to do anything. It's not there. But there's the whole reason that I decided to do this episode this way is, I kept, it was like a one thing after another kind of scenario where I kept hearing business associate. And I thought, let's put all of that together and say, here's the spotlight that's glaringly on you right now. Maybe we can alert you and you'll pay attention.
Mm-hmm. This is true. And the thing about business associates is that, they haven't had all the time that covered entities have had to kind of, get this stuff under their wing.
Even though they signed a contract that said they were doing it, but there was, no real enforcement or commitment that beyond they signed a contract.
Yeah. And really up until the omnibus rule, it didn't really apply. So some people I'm in IT. So what kind of happened to us is literally you woke up one morning, it was like, oh, what, wait, we're bound by this thing called what? Because a lot of people already had clients that were, in the medical industry. Mm-hmm. And so now all of a sudden, literally overnight, you're pretty much violating federal law because you don't really know what you're dealing with here. So it changed the landscape tremendously, and it did that for a lot of people, not just IT.
Well, that and the fact that it's still changing the landscape. We still have people that are learning that they're a business associate, or they're finally getting through the stages of grief and accepting it. They've gone past the denial and all of those kind of things and the anger. And you just got to get beyond it, because this is about protecting your business and your client's business and their patients, and just focus on that and just get it done.
Yeah, and this is not an election thing. It's not going away no matter who gets elected president.
Really, and you can see, I mean, we hear about other industries. You know, you got the payment card industry that's doing stuff, and you got banking that's doing stuff, and then you got HIPAA in healthcare. But other industries, the law firms and the financial firms, many of these people, their trade organizations are starting to tell them, look, this is coming because there's too much happening. We're all going to have to start doing this because we just generate so much information. Mm-hmm. And it's like the more that you can build and store, the more that you do. And it's, I mean, good golly, Miss Molly, if you try to talk a lawyer into deleting a 15-year-old email, you are just going to you're wasting your time. So you've got massive amounts of data that are not going away, and we've got to protect it.
I don't know. Some people know how to delete email pretty easily.
I know. I don't have a problem doing it, but you know what I'm saying? Other people got some issues up in there. Yeah. But you can delete things, and especially when you're talking about things like you do, David. You never know what people might have in their emails, and well, we both know what we stumble upon, and we're like, I didn't see that. I'm going to poke my eyes out. I didn't see that. But anyway, here's 3 big ways that the BAs, the spotlights are on the BAs, and we're going to talk about it a little bit of each of them. You know, one is fairly new. The other 2 we've talked about before. So first, you've got the Dark Overlord.
Yes, the Dark Overlord.
And, that's still playing out. We're still learning about it. But clearly, the Dark Overlord was able to get in and do a lot of damage, and it is in many ways related to business associates. And I think we're going to find that because we know they had the source code from Pilot Fish Technologies. We know that they showed the screens from SRS EHR. We know that Quest was mentioned by Athens Orthopedic Clinic. They're basically dumping all the blame on Quest, not Quest Labs, but the Quest information, something. I don't remember what all it does. But in all of those cases, that's 3 different business associates that have been named in the Dark Overlord scenario. And then, he talked about how he got in using the RDP connections, which is the remote desktop protocol. People don't just set that up on their own generally. And if they do, well, that explains why he got in. If you're not doing that with professional IT support, immediately shut it down and call somebody because you're guaranteed you're in trouble. But even with professional IT support, it could be that they're in trouble, and how much are those IT people going to be involved in that issue? So TDO is seriously shining a light on a lot of business associates as well as the covered entities they've attacked. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but practically every day someone's talking to me about Athens Orthopedic.
Oh, really?
And I'm not just people in Georgia, Atlanta, the Athens area, but I mean, people talk to me about it in California and, out on the West Coast and all of this kind of stuff. So it's it's a big deal what's happened here. And as we always said, when it happens to someone in a way that is scary, it will get everybody's attention and it'll change things. And it has. It's made a big difference in the way people are looking at things.
So I guess people call and saying, were they your client? Were they your client?
No, I'm very proud to say they are not.
You're very proud to say.
Now would be a good time to hire me. Other people have hired me after the breach because I did help. But, maybe we could. I don't know the details behind what happened. I do know that some of the stuff that's been reported by the reporters isn't necessarily matching what's coming out Otherwise, but I'm not in on the details, so I'm not going to say that I know that one really well. But I would hope that we could have prevented that from happening, or at least made sure that they were aware it was happening sooner than they did.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow. So we've got that case, and then we have, there's a lot of discussions about breaches with the VA, the Veterans Administration, and the VA healthcare system is really an issue, and it's just, we didn't plan for this huge number of people that, we were at war for 14 years officially, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never had to take care of that many people through the VA health system. And so there's a lot of different discussions about it. But the bottom line is we still have it right now. What people choose to do with it, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about where we are right now and the number of breaches that happened. And one of them, just about a week ago, 10 days ago, a report came out where the OIG, the Office of Inspector General under the Department of Veterans Affairs, did an audit of the Alaska office after they had a major breach. So that report came out, and basically it's like you have got to lock down these business associates.
Mm-hmm.
And the information that's in there, we'll go into some of those details, but it's clear that, when we say we recommend doing the BA due diligence, and you and I've talked about it, how important it is,
mm-hmm.
and how crazy people go when you send them the questions.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. I've got several, some of them are really antagonistic, and, I've had one guy that answered all these things with 15 exclamation points and, and just talking down like, I guess it's somebody that's used to, if I'm enough of a-hole, I can get you to leave me alone,
Mm-hmm.
But I've never, I just read it and I went, well, clearly this is not going well. Anytime you see this simple questionnaire and you see 15 exclamation points, you're like, oh, we've hit a button there.
Yeah. Yeah. And this stuff they should be able to answer, even without a business associate due diligence survey. I mean, they should just be able to do this stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, our assessments ask simple questions, and the questions, we have people tell us that would be releasing proprietary information with your business partner. It's your business partner that's asking, not me. It's your business partner. I'm not putting this out there for everyone. It's like part of a contract. And then my favorite, two of my favorites. One is where they put not applicable on every. And then another one is by far my favorite. By the time they got to like the third or fourth question, they just stopped and said, clearly you take HIPAA compliance more seriously than we do. And they're a business associate. I'm like, oh, you might want to consider getting out of that business. But every time we explain to people, you really need to do this now. It's not something, the law says you should get reasonable assurances, such as them signing the contract. That's not a reasonable assurance anymore. I mean, it's never been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times I was in a meeting with a big company and they talked about how many years they would sign these things because everybody just signed them to get the business. You didn't have to do anything.
Right.
But you had to sign them for years.
And people still do it. I mean, it's, you go on, you and I both, we get on the web and read a lot of what people are saying out there, and it's still very much a prominent thought that just signing a business associate agreement is all you need to do to be HIPAA compliant.
I know. Yeah. We don't get involved in those conversations too often unless it just goes too far off for us. But yeah, we'll talk about what people are talking about when they're saying that kind of stuff. And it's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. But I guess the thing about it is, the funny psychological thing about it is that you've always heard that when people talk about something, even if it's wrong, if they act like they know what to talk about, people still pay attention. And so you'll see people that are like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that easy. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's all you got to do.
Yeah. We call that fake it till you make it.
It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. Just speak with authority.
Yeah, and you're good. If you have a certain amount of confidence, because I can get away with that. I make stuff up, but I'm very confident about what I'm making up.
Yeah, I've been victim of your confidence.
Victim. That's funny. Anyhow, so in this case, though, the OIG report, they talked about, it was a case going back to December 2014 that the first allegation came out that a company called ProCare Home Medical Inc., and they provide home oxygen services. So this is and one of the reasons I really wanted to feature this is we're not talking about a big billing service that's handling a bunch of data. We're not talking about, a huge IT company that's securing networks. We're talking about home oxygen services.
Mm-hmm.
So they are indeed business associates. First of all, let's make that clear. Because I know people that'll try to tell you, oh no, we don't count. But so they get this allocation that they were improperly storing and sharing sensitive data on personal devices, and that was in violation of the Federal Information Security Standards. So and this is one of the questions we always ask is, do you have contracts with government agencies? Because you have even more rules to worry about when it comes to government agencies than if you don't. And, I personally have always stayed away from government agencies for many reasons. And, but in this case, they did. And guess what? They signed something that said they were going to do it and protect it. So the specific allegation, because of course this is all legal stuff, ProCare was allowing its employees to use personal computers and phones to access the company computer system and download VA-sensitive data, including personal health information. PHI. So they did a big investigation, and this report came out September 7th. And I tell you, we could go through and do a whole episode just on all the stuff that they went through and their findings, and they were shining flashlights up in places that people were uncomfortable. That's what I like to tell people. We do a thorough risk analysis. We're going to shine a flashlight up in there in places that will make you uncomfortable.
Nobody told me that this HIPAA analysis was going to be telling me to turn my head and cough.
That's right. That's it, David. I know exactly where you're going to go when I say so. But anyway, in their investigation, and they went there and on site and evaluated what was going on, and they were able to substantiate the allegations because the employees went, yeah, that's what I do. And not only is that what I do, but I use a cloud-based system without encryption controls.
Oh, nice.
That is not even an authorized system. So I don't know that it clearly stated what that was, but I'm going to go with like
Dropbox.
Dropbox is probably it. They were moving files back and forth on Dropbox, and it's got to be it's something along those lines. That's what's going on. And
the free version of something, I'm sure.
Yeah. So they did confirm that. They did confirm that because of this, that employees or malicious users could potentially use personal devices on unauthorized wireless networks.
Ooh.
So they didn't even care. Go down to Starbucks, log in there, and get your next information.
Ouch.
What? So, no, that's bad too.
Yeah. Because we know by watching Mr. Robot that people sit in coffee shops and hack other people.
I told you, David. I told you if you ever watched the first one, it would suck you in.
I know.
It's just overwhelming. And then when you get to the end, you're like, what just happened? Okay, so then we not only are we talking about all of that technology stuff they were doing wrong, but they were also storing hard copy as well as electronic information in unsecured manners at their facility. And it was, they even have a little picture of the facility, and it was open and unlocked doors to rear parking lots at the. You can see the door is unlocked, and this is why when we go and do these on-site assessments of physical stuff, we take pictures just like this. Because people will try to tell you that's not true. Let me show you this picture I got of the CEO's email.
Oh, there you go.
On his desk, Let me show you all these records that were stored in a kitchen cabinet or something like that. Or you know what I'm talking about. We better not talk about too many of those.
Yeah. Got to protect the guilty.
Yeah. Well, there was one site, and it was like it used to be a kitchen, but now it wasn't a kitchen. But still, instead of putting something secure in there, they were just kind of, put that in the sink. But anyway, the sensitive information, and they had unencrypted devices all over the place. We observed a server cabinet with unencrypted data located in an unsecure area near open doors leading to an outside parking lot. In this same area, we also observed an unlocked shredder bin full of client-sensitive information. And here is a picture of that. So they have a server stored somewhere that's not encrypted in a cabinet near an open door in a back parking lot. Mm-hmm. Talk to me, David. How comfortable would you feel walking in there?
Not very.
I mean, that's got. Why don't we just put a sign? Loot this place. Yeah. There's a lot of valuable stuff here. I had a client one time, and it's one of those things where it just occurs to you one time. I'm getting off the elevator, and I'm turning to go to the front door of their office, and I realize, I think that's their door. That's right across from the elevator. I mean, like right across from the elevator. And I went over there and opened the door and just walked in. No one saw me. No one did anything. I walked up and my person I work with, and I said, "Hey." And they're like, "I didn't know you were here." I was like, "Yes, and that is a problem." Because I walked past all your servers, and none of the people, no one saw me. I could have walked out with all kinds of stuff and just gotten right back on the elevator and left. Yeah. No one said a word. So, that door got locked right away. But while I was standing there, I watched them lock it and tell everybody don't unlock it. But anyway, so the whole point, though, is they clearly didn't stop and think about it. I mean, if you even thought about that for a little bit, just a little bit.
But it was a nice day out. They had to leave the door open.
Well, it is Alaska. When the air can come in, you should let it. But anyway, so they found that. They did. ProCare could not provide evidence that applicable personnel had completed the security awareness training, or that they had signed the special contractor rules of behavior that you have to do with the government stuff. And, so basically none of the things that you should do, we have them sign confidentiality agreements. We have them get the training and all of those kind of things before they're supposed to have access to sensitive data. And or at least have a shortened time frame. But they couldn't prove anybody had been trained. Didn't have a signature from any of them. And that they did not, the VA now did not provide effective oversight of the personnel to ensure that it was doing what it was supposed to do. And the information was vulnerable to loss, theft, and misuse, including identity theft and fraud. Even though they found no evidence that anything was actually compromised, that somebody filed this complaint, and whether it was a patient that filed the complaint or it was an employee that filed the complaint because they were worried about it, clearly the complaint needed to be happening because it was just a matter of time. Mm-hmm. So their final recommendation in the report is that they assign a person, a representative, contracting representative, and IT person to do oversight of the healthcare system contractors.
Yeah, That would be a good idea.
That's, so they're looking at it from that big picture thing of, the VA healthcare system. They're suggesting the secretary do this everywhere.
Yeah.
But the bigger issue here is, we keep saying that you should do this. So they're fortunate that no data got lost here.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, we've got major issues in even paying remote attention to, not at least have them sign not confidentiality. I mean, nothing.
Yeah.
That is as willfully neglecting what you're supposed to do as I can imagine. So, and I didn't go look and see what OCR's take on this was, and they may have been waiting for this. I don't know. But wow.
Yeah.
Is all I can say with all the things they found.
It almost reminds me of a conversation I had with a client a couple of years back. And when I brought up some of the security issues that I saw, the response was, we've never had to do that before.
I know. Doesn't that drive you nuts?
It's like, what?
We've done it this way for 10 years. We don't have to change it.
I just sat there. It's like, okay, so I know you didn't do it before. That's why we're talking about it. And yes, you've had to have done it before. You just didn't.
You were supposed to be doing this the whole time. And the fact that it hasn't, and you know what? Because you're doing this, we can't even be sure that you haven't been bitten by it,
Yeah, exactly.
There's a snake. There's a snake. We just don't know where.
I'm sure at some point, especially through the generations, that somebody finally had to say, you know what? I know we've never had to lock our front door before, but it's probably a good time to start.
Yeah. Let's put a key in, let's make the doorknob lock.
Yeah.
At some point, somebody made a key. And then they took it the next step further and put a deadbolt in,
Yeah.
We evolve.
Some of us do.
Yeah, really. Some of us, knuckles still dragging the ground, right, David?
Look, I got those treated.
Just got them treated. So anyway, we've talked about all of this, and this is it is as much a warning sign to all business associates, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is they're saying you need to be paying attention to these people. And if you think that just signing that agreement is enough to get the business, or if you say we've never had to do it before, or if you say when a little client asks you to do this stuff, fill out a questionnaire, and you claim that it's their consultants are doing overkill. Actually had this happen. Your consultants are in overkill. They're just trying to substantiate why you need to pay them. I'll just point to this. But, I'm not suggesting that you go and turn over every rock and do a site visit. They're saying even do a site visit. So pay attention. When we say you should be watching these folks, clearly there are more cases of problems than you can use to assume that you can't look. You don't have to be looking.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what they'd be cooking up if you ain't looking. But at any rate, this was just the cherry on top of those discussions about the business associates in the Dark Overlord and them being clearly part of that breach in some level. And then this report that says you really should be watching these people, and the findings with, you could just take anything and people could just come and go. It was crazy. And then we hear OCR again talking about the audits and how they're going through the initial 167 audits that they did, the desk audits, which we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger point is they've said all along we're using the list that we asked for business associates to use for our pool of people to pick. And they had originally said they expected to, by the end of September, to begin notifying business associates.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to get a letter or an email, rather, that says, hey, you are so lucky. You have won the negative lottery.
Yeah.
So you're going to be the lucky business associate that gets selected for the first BA audits. And so now they're saying it'll probably be October before those go out, but they're not saying it'll be forever. And they made it clear. So they did point out that the business associates will be treated the same way. They'll do the same thing that they did with the covered entities, in that you will get an email that says, you've got 10 days to give us this list of stuff.
Is that
Please provide it.
10 Fridays?
10 business days from the date of this notification.
Can I pick which 10 days?
I know. Yeah, that's like, I get to drive down the middle and you can have either side, right? The road. I'm sharing, but, does that meet the rules? So the biggest issue there is a lot of people, even if they have documentation, they don't have it in a way. And, this is why I use a tool like Comply Assistant. That's why, we have systems in place.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell everybody, look, you don't have to use the tool that we use, but you need to have a plan.
Yep. That three ring binder might not be enough.
No, might not be enough. So the fact that all of that's going to happen, they say that, there were a lot of different quotes from people around the industry, but they were basically saying everybody you need to be prepared, because we took you through some of those questions, and they asked specifically in the desk audit to provide your recent risk analysis and the associated risk management plans. And they can ask for the last 6 years worth if they want to. And, well, I guess with business associates, it goes back to 2013-ish, somewhere in there. But they want that detail. They want to see the results. They want to see your written policies and procedures about it. They want to see your written risk management plan. They could ask you any of those things, and you've got 10 days to supply it. And remember, if you can't supply it, what do you have to do?
Guys, tell them why.
That's right. That's why we have that form. Got to tell them why. So we do have that form now.
Yeah, but, that's where you put the NA.
Yeah, it's not applicable. So you're welcome to tell OCR that it doesn't apply to you and make that argument.
These questions are too invasive.
Yeah, they're invasive.
Hold on.
Well, and it's going to be interesting because this is the first foray into even looking into business associates, unless they came up in a complaint or a breach or something like that. So I think it's going to be for the OCR. I think it may be, scary. What was it? Somebody quoted in the article I read about it. I was looking for the quote because I thought it was cool. Somebody said, or the article said, it is likely to alert them to the enormous variations among business associates. Just enormous. And, we work with business associates, so we get that.
Yeah. I think, we talked a couple of years ago about the opportunity just for business that the business associates would bring to the table for people in our position that are doing compliance and training and all that. But on the flip side of that, the business associates also bring a lot to the table because they have drastically expanded the issues that plague covered entities and security and privacy and breaches and all this other stuff.
And I'll just because I've had several conversations recently about this as we're talking with our clients that we're working with them on building these management programs for business associates, and clearly they say, what if they don't want to answer it? What if they don't give us the right answers? And you have three choices that you can do. Three choices. Isn't that right, David? So you can say...
You can fire them, or you can fire them.
Well, no, you can You can find somebody else to do it. And some people love to have that excuse. It helps them out of a bad situation. So you can find somebody else to do it.
True.
You can convince them to fix it, and try to work with them to solve the problem if it's important enough to you. Or number 3 is, if you feel like you're backed into a corner and you don't have another option and they refuse to do it, you can report them to HHS. And that's not being mean. That's protecting you. Because if you need the services and you can only get it from them, then you can report them to HHS and call up OCR and say, what do I do? Can you talk to these people? And I'm going to guess a call from the OCR might get their attention.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and you do bring up a good point too, that some business associates may not realize that they're business associates, or maybe they do realize it, but we talked about it earlier. They went online and somebody said, "Oh yeah, just sign a business associate agreement. You're good." But it is in some ways, I think that the covered entities can really push the compliance of the business associates if they do what they're supposed to be doing as well.
Right. When the business associates start getting pushback from their upstream business associates or their covered entities, they're going to pay attention and do this stuff.
Yep.
But until the industry starts to push them, some of them aren't going to do it.
Yeah. And why wouldn't you want your business associates to thoroughly understand compliance and privacy and security? It's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer that.
Okay. I'm like,
I got nothing.
Okay. I can't think of a reason that'd be a good idea. But yeah. But see, and I'm also making a point of saying, understand who is a business associate. That doesn't mean everybody's a business associate. We stop people all the time from, well, if I have a vendor, I'm sending them a contract. I'm going over the top. I'm sending it.
Yeah.
Don't go too far. Make sure they're really a business associate. And that gets down to, if in order to do their job for you, they need to have persistent access to PHI, then they're a business associate. It's the easiest way. I mean, yes, there's a lot of gray areas and there's a lot of things, but that's the simplest question. If the answer to that question is yes, that it's very, very likely there might be some tiny cases where there wouldn't. But it's almost certain they're a business associate if that is the answer if yes is the answer to that question. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
I agree.
All right. Well, I think we're done now.
We're done. All right. See you.
Thank goodness we established that we agree.
Yeah, because that doesn't happen a lot.
I know, really. The only thing we agree about is the HIPAA stuff. Everything else we argue about.
I agree that you're crazy.
Hey, well. Hello, kettle.
Whatever, pot. All right, so that's our show for today. We thank you for listening. As always, head on over to iTunes and review our podcast. We much appreciate it. That's what Donna works for. I just work for free. She works for
peanuts.
She works for reviews. If you give her 5 stars, sometimes she may even send you a video of her like catching a popcorn in her mouth or something. So share us out on your favorite social media platform. We much appreciate those. You can also visit us on the web at helpmewithhipaa.com. You can message us there. You could leave a voicemail there. Thanks again to David for sending in the question. And don't forget that HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.